Все приветствую на канале RuTuBe, с вами Денис, это киднаpping Deliverance 2. Мы находимся возле церкви и будем дожидаться горняков. До утра. Там какое-то на соревнование вроде с ними пойдем или что-то такого. Ну, посмотрим, что это будет. Мне кажется, меня заставят стрелять в конце концов.
Good morning, Tonies. I see you have the stang with you.
Of course. That's what it's all about, man.
We've already had it blessed by the local priest.
What? You didn't even wait for me?
Don't worry, you're not missing out. We still have a long way and 2 more churches to go.
Ah, got it. A nice walk through town, eh?
Aye, you could say so.
You must be the champion marksman, Anton Kaspar, right?
That I am, and I swear as long as I'm shooting, the striped Tonys will never lose their competition.
Are you really that good?
Well, this year is just my 2nd competition, but I won last year.
Old Lazar used to be our top marksman, but his eyes gave out.
What if we run into those saints who stole your stang last time?
Luckily, their churches are on the other side of the tomb.
That may be, but their tavern's on the way, so watch your step, Maris.
Why do you consecrate the miner's stang?
It's a local pitman's tradition.
Aye, every year before the shoot first, the different pit teams go around to their churches. Like Francis says, tradition.
Interesting custom. We don't have anything like that back home.
Why, aye. Interesting, and sometimes a wee bit wild. We have to watch out for the saints.
Let's go, Maris. We can crack on the way. First, we'll go to the upper church of the Virgin Mary, and then to the church of St. George. And we have to make it before dark. Otherwise, we're out of luck.
What have they actually hewed at the course down in the bottom road?
We got an opening, our reed, but the windlass broke loose, so the carpenters have to make a new one.
Ah, it'll be a week before we can get hewing again. To hell with the pit. Better to hear some crack from you, Henry.
So, tell us, Mara, where are we going with that stang of yours?
You're cracking there like one of us, man. You'll be joining us in the pit soon, eh?
Need bit for him. He's like to break his arm with a kevil.
Aye, or ding his head on the rock, eh?
I don't understand you much, but as far as dangerous work goes, I reckon you two are experts, eh?
That's what this is all about, but every year before the shoot fest, all the pit crews get their stangs blessed in the churches, so the mound gives us silver and nothing bad happens.
And also for the shooting to go well.
I wonder who the Lord favours in shooting then, eh?
Why, aye, that's as plain as day, but the best shot, of course.
Are you a good shot, Anton?
Do you think Vlak would let him compete if he wasn't?
And what if Preng wins?
He'd have to be completely blind and crippled too. You'll be weeping his way home like last year. And I'm not afraid of Gaffer Henslin from Gang. He may know how to shoot, but he's not the youngest and he lacks speed.
I don't know, Henslin. Is he good?
Aye, he's not a bad bloke, but we didn't gang near Gang much.
Hold your water, Franzi. He's the one who convinced my pa about the new scene.
Aye, but the catch is, Henslin was right about that.
About what?
Never mind. We shouldn't be talking shop here.
Tell me more about your competition. What makes it so special?
What makes it so special? Why, we have the royal seal of approval.
Wait, you mean Wenceslas himself allowed you to compete here?
Of course he did. What's so strange about that?
Well, it just seems odd to me that the king would concern himself with the amusement of some miners.
It's not like that at all, but the charter grants us various rights, and feast days is one of them.
There wasn't anything like that back in Scallis.
Kuttenberg isn't some wee
And here we are, fellas. But where's that priest gone?
It's been quite a walk so far, eh?
Aye, and I was afraid the saints would be lying in wait for us.
Hey, bother. They've probably got other problems.
How do you mean?
Nothing. Just that you don't need to bother your head. And where's that local priest got to?
Who knows? Maybe still in bed, eh? Should we wait?
Maris, I've got an idea. A
Мне
canny
кажется,
one.
стражник за мной пришел.
We have a bit of time, so we could get the saints back for pinching our stang and play a wee prank on them at their tavern.
What? I thought consecrating the stang was a serious matter. At least Vlach seemed solemn enough yesterday.
How we, man? We'll show the saints we're no feared of them. Vlad doesn't even have to find out.
I'm for it. The tavern is right around the corner, and there won't be many people there right now. But above all, Francie, no stealing.
Of course, we won't pinch nothing. On the contrary, we'll give them a wee gift for their tavern. Yesterday, I took Six's braes, and I'll tell you, man, they're reet-minging.
Aha! So it's not your feet that stink here.
Why did you take them, Butts?
Why, aye. Best thing would be to hang them from the window of the Saints' tavern instead of their banner.
That'd be a laugh. They'll know we've been there and yucked their pizzles good and proper. What do you think, Henry? Can you manage that?
Без проблем.
Of course. Count me in. I'll be happy to get revenge on Preng and his men.
All right, then we'll split up. I'll wait here at the parish, Francie will watch the front of the tavern, and Henry will hang up the braes.
I agree. Let's get to it, Francie.
Why, aye. Quick and careful then, so as you don't get seen. The saints would soon get wind of it.
Here's the braes. Hang 'em high up on the stub.
Stop.
The pole with the pulley, sticking from the loft into the street.
Good luck then. When it's done, I'll meet you across the street from the tavern.
Чё все толпились здесь?
Easy! I surrender!
I've got it. You've been loitering. Don't think we're idiots. You've been accused. You'll pay a fine. And if I don't find those...
Нихера себе, и чё мне за это? 2500. Корчмарь.
Wait a moment. I didn't steal it.
Don't try to...
Ну, пошел ты нахер, нафиг.
I thought such things only happened in Prague.
I should go back there. I promised.
Guards, please!
Pacify him. Quick!
Провалено, ёпта. Конечно, провалено. За мной погоня, 4 коня. Все, на этом закончили, да? Нормально.
I'm back.
What do you think? You left us in the lurch, so now leave me alone.
I'm sorry. I got held up.
It doesn't matter now. Come in the morning to watch the shooting competition. Foreman Vlak invited you. You shouldn't disappoint him.
Охереть. За воровство. А кто узнал то, что это я, бляха-муха? О. Куда вы все побежали? Я в ахере с этого. Что происходит? В смысле провалено?
Gepriesen sei der Herr.
I brought you that safe conduct.
Mein Gott, you really did it. And what about the soldiers? Where they are?
They won't be back in this land anytime soon.
You do us a great service, friend. And also save us much money. For that you deserve a reward. Thanks 100-fold.
Also, there's no
Пипец. Что-то задания попровалились все. И хуй с ними. Не сильно-то и хотелось. Нет, так нет. Эти какие-то бегают. Что-то они обновления ввели, а ни хера они лучше не сделали. Это как тот момент, когда делают только хуже. Было 1 на 1. Нормально все. Нет, сделали какую-то хуету.
Lumir?
Oh. Christ, my head. Not so loud.
I need to ask you something.
I said not so loud. I have a splitting headache.
That's some hangover. He's useless to me like this. Unless I'm willing to wait for him to sleep it off, I'll have to get him some kind of cure or potion. This should sober him up. Here. Drink up. Better?
What? Who? What are you doing here? Who are you?
My name is Henry.
And what do you want from me?
I'm trying to find out who killed a certain girl. And I was sent to you.
To me? What for?
Are you Lumir from the rat house? The scribe?
I used to be. Now I'm just Lumir the madman.
They say that about you. Why?
Because I was just on some wild goose chase. And what came of it? Absolutely nothing.
But I need your help.
If I were you, lad, I'd leave it be. You can't help that girl anymore, anyway. You'll just end up hurting yourself.
Come now, Lumir.
Poor girls. Nobody was all that interested in it, except for me. We let it be in the end. We let a monster walk among us. No way. You can't solve this yourself.
I'm not doing it for myself. I'm afraid he might kill one of my friends.
A friend, eh? That's not good. Not good at all. I searched high and low. And what did I get out of it? Just mockery. What makes you think you can find out more than I did?
Because I'm not stupid, and I notice things. I've successfully solved a murder before.
Is that so? A murder investigation under your belt. And educated and observant, too.
Well, I said I'm not stupid. Not that I'm educated. I can read and write, too. Sometimes even count.
If only more people knew the difference. All right. Talk to me. Who was this dead girl?
Her name was Alice. She worked as a maid.
A maid? That fits. Yarka was a maid, too. As were most of the other victims. What did she look like? What did he do to her?
I think that he strangled her first, and then went at her with a longer blade and disemboweled her.
Did you notice the strangulation right away? It took me a while. Maybe you really will track him down.
Do you think it's the same murder?
Counting your girl, that makes 6 victims who were first strangled and then mutilated. If it's not all the same person, they must be collaborating somehow.
This is the 6th one. How long has he been killing?
Probably about a year now. Sometimes it takes him months, sometimes weeks. But I'm including missing girls, Stanya and Zdena.
Why are you counting the missing girls?
Because I think someone killed them, and we just haven't found them yet.
Did the dead girls have anything in common?
Aside from being pretty young girls with no proper family or background, no. I couldn't find much.
Do you think somebody is killing them because they're poor and nobody will miss them?
Certainly. If somebody killed the daughter of a local lord, no stone would be left unturned.
But why does he even kill in the first place?
I don't know. Maybe he hates women. Damn it. I feel like I'm going in circles and can't get out.
Да не надо ко мне лезть, кукушка, иди, погуляй.
What can you tell me
Иди,
about
говорю.
Yarka?
She wasn't the first. But thanks to her, people started taking an interest. She was a maid in a German family. By all accounts, she was a pious, polite girl. She was orphaned as a child. The priest from the church of St. Peter and Paul, Father Prokop, raised her. They found her body tossed behind a barn at the edge of town. She was cut all the way from her neck downwards. An awful sight to behold.
Did you have any suspects?
At first, I thought the son from that family did it. A murderer is usually someone close, you know. But then I changed my mind.
Why?
Well, for one, I remembered the two girls before her who ended up almost the same. Besides that, when I talked to the lad, he seemed he wasn't the least bit interested in Yarka. Then his mother told me that they threw her out a week before the murder because she was a harlot who stayed out till all hours of the night. That really surprised me, because Father Prokop had vouched for her good reputation. But who knows? Maybe he just didn't want to admit what had become of her.
What about Stanya?
She was an alehouse wench in a tavern of ill repute called the Hole in the Wall.
You said her body was never found. Maybe she just got out of town.
You have no idea how much I'd like to believe that. Only there was a lot of blood. Unfortunately, the investigation wasn't very successful. The Hole is a world of its own, and the people there aren't very forthcoming with information.
Did you suspect anybody?
You could suspect every second man there. Those people have nothing but thievery and deceit in their eyes. The innkeeper, Mole, definitely knew Stanya, since she worked for him. But he isn't all that chatty either.
So if I want to learn anything more, I have to ask this mole in the hole.
Yeah, he still runs the place.
And what about that Zdena? You said her body was never found.
Exactly. But to tell the truth, nobody spent much time looking for it. Besides Alice, Zdena was the most recent victim. It's only been a few weeks since she went missing, but I suppose nobody wanted to do any more digging.
But if her body was never found, how do you know she was killed?
Because she was the same type as the other girls. Maybe the prettiest of them all. Young, beautiful. A real live one. Lively as the
хоть.
devil. She was a thief.
Ладно, залазь как-нибудь.
Pickpocket. I never could pin it on her, though. She always found some way to get out of it.
Maybe she robbed the wrong people and had to get out of town.
Maybe. She had a partner in crime by the name of Strunad. Quite a number. He's always sitting in the hole, boozing. When I asked him about Zdena, he told me he'd rather rip his own tongue out than talk.
Do you think he'd be more forthcoming with me?
He might be. You're not known all over town like a catchpole. It's worth a try. Besides, it might still be fresh in his memory. That would be a great help.
And what about the other two victims?
It all started with them, though nobody did much about it at the time. The first one worked as a bathhouse maid. They called her Chestnut. She'd only been in town for a short while, and nobody really knew her. So I couldn't find out anything more. But the other one, Libushka, she was from Loretz. She was a maidservant, too. I also talked to her mother. She said she was really cheerful and outgoing. There were lots of suitors circling around her, but she refused them all. She knew she was pretty and knew she could do better than some farmhand.
You mean she wanted someone higher up?
That's what it sounded like. But her mother never found out who she had her eye on.
Interesting. I'll try to see what else I can find out from the mother. Where can I find her?
In the graveyard, lad. The poor woman died of grief. It's sad to say, but we can't help those two dead girls now. And they can't help us with our investigation either. There's nobody else left who could tell us anything about them.
Why were you looking into it? Who were those dead girls to you?
I don't know what people told you about me, but for many long years I was a scribe for Kuttenberg's bailiff. Kuttenberg is a big city with a lot of people. Silver, silver, silver. Mining it, smelting it, stealing it. There's always something going on. The bailiff was always running from hell to Hades, from one rich man to another, settling their quarrels. Often trivial nonsense.
But there are more than just rich burghers and lords in the city.
Exactly. There are common folk, too. There's a lot more of them, and their troubles are usually more serious. So when one of them came to the bailiff's one time, and the bailiff was running around somewhere, I started to deal with it myself. I was pretty good at it, too.
Behind the bailiff's back?
Not really. Andreas supported my activities until recently.
What happened?
I don't want to talk about it. Sorry.
Did you have any suspects back then?
You can always find some suspect. I always dragged the most suspicious ones to the body in the morgue by force. And they threw up at the sight. Or fainted.
Couldn't it have just been an act?
Fainting? Vomiting? That's hard to act. I'd swear none of them did it.
Can you sum it all up for me?
We have 6 victims here. And I believe they were all murdered by the same killer. Unfortunately, we only know a little about the last 4. The most recent ones. By now, we won't learn anything about the first 2. Of the remaining 4, the first to be killed was the maidservant, Yarka. She was raised by Father Prokop from the Church of St. Peter and Paul. He should know the most about her. The next were Stanya and Zdena. Their bodies weren't found, but we assume they also became victims of the same murderer. They both hung around a tavern they called the Hole in the Wall. Stanya was an alehouse maid, and Zdena a pickpocket. And the last victim is Alice now, also a maid. What they all have in common is that they were young, beautiful, and brunette.
Good.
When you learn something more, you've aroused a bit of hope in me, lad.
I wanted to ask you about those murders. Well...
Как же круто, что так дохера квестов. Таких разнообразных. Как же кайфово. Что не квест, так квест.
I apologize.
Потеряйся отсюда, бедола.
But whenever we meet, she always looks at me like...
How does she look at you?
like... she wants me. I know it's wrong, but I thought if anything ever happened to my brother...
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
But I...
Good day to you. What brings you here?
Father, I need to ask you a few questions.
I don't have time for theological discussions, my son.
That's not why I'm here. My name's Henry, and I wanted to ask about the murder that happened recently. Someone killed and gutted a young maidservant and left her body lying by the city walls. And I hear it's not the first time this has happened.
Another one murdered. May the Lord grant her eternal rest. Why is it you ask?
I fear for my sister. She's also a maid.
Yes. Fear for those close to you is commendable. What would you like to hear?
One of the other victims was a girl named Yarka. But I reckon you know that, don't you? What can you tell me about her?
About Yarka? She was an ordinary girl. She served the von Groll family.
Where did you know Yarka from?
I knew her since she was a little girl. Knew her family.
And?
I was her uncle. When my brother and his wife died, I took care of her.
Who do you think killed her?
William, that pig of Satan. He gambles in the tavern on All Saints' Day and leads the locals astray. Yarka always went there to listen to music.
Why do you think it was William? Do you have any evidence?
Evidence? He's a skirt chaser, a tool of Satan. He messes with poor girls' heads.
And does anyone else come to mind? No other man spoke with her?
No, absolutely not.
You raised her? A priest with a child?
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm not the first of the clergy to have a child on the side. But at least everyone knew Yarka wasn't my own daughter.
No offense, but how did you know what to do? Without a wife, without a family? I would have been lost.
I was a bit, when she was smaller, it was fine, but when she grew up a bit, maybe I was too hard on her.
How does that even work? Did you have her with you at the presbytery?
When she was small, I could. But when she grew up, she had to go. It wouldn't look right.
Why do you think you were too hard on her?
Yarko was an orphan, with no family and no possessions. Her only chance of a good life was a good upbringing. And then, a husband. But the more I led her in that direction, the more she resisted me.
You're well off, though. Couldn't you provide for her?
I couldn't. Even if she had been my very own. More so, since she was my brother's.
But how come?
The church's property always remains the church's. They keep a close eye on that.
How did she rebel against you?
She wouldn't listen. She ran away. She ran around with all sorts. And how did it turn out? She died. And in sin. Such a disgrace.
Disgrace? What the devil are you talking about?
She was pregnant! Even if she had lived, what then? Nobody would want to marry her anymore.
Why don't you respect Lumiere?
That's my business. You needn't concern yourself about that. I won't tell you anything.
Come now, Father. I'm not just asking out of curiosity. This is about all the dead girls. Isn't it written in Scripture, speak up for those who have no voice?
A layman quotes the Bible to me. Fine. Lumiere accused me of her murder.
What?
Yes. He slandered me in public.
And how... What happened then?
It turned out he was deranged. How could he even think such a thing? He's finished in Kuttenberg.
I've heard enough, Father. I'll be going.
Son, I'll give you some good advice. Don't listen to Lumiere. That man has gone completely mad.
I would like to atone for my...
I'm tempted to banish you from the holy ground, blasphemer.
Maybe...
Don't delay. Till we meet again.
Какие паломничества, какие эти? Я ничего плохого не сделал. Рубил я только плохих.
Are you Sternad? The one that went with Zdena?
Who the fuck are you?
Just an ordinary bloke who has some questions.
Well then, piss off. You won't get any answers here. All you're gonna get here is a kick in the teeth.
Why so rash? That kind of attitude will do you no favours. Let's make a deal. You tell me everything you know about Zdena, and I'll make sure you're no worse for wear.
Ah. You're the lord what that whore robbed. Don't worry about it. She weren't nothing but a lying bitch.
So, if I understand correctly, we can make a deal?
For the right price,
Стоит уже за
I'll tell
спиной.
you all I know.
Is this the right price?
You fucking bet it is. Ask away and I'll tell you everything.
Where can I find Zdena?
Aye. That's what I like to fucking know too. Last time I saw her, well, that'd be back when she managed to fleece you.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to find her.
I can well imagine. Well, she went to Rabstein Mill. It's quite a long ways away. She had some unfinished business with some bloke called Pint. Ain't nobody seen her since then.
Did she have any friends or lovers who'd know more? Did anybody come here to see her?
Who come to see that bitch? She was always off somewhere, seeing someone. Although, once...
Someone came to see her?
Well, aye. Some stuffed frock came here once. All old and decrepit. He said he had some job for her. That she should leave behind her sinful life and all that shit. But he left empty-handed. She told him to go to hell.
Do you know who that priest was?
Some fucking Prokop or Pravoslav or some such shit. But that reminds me, I saw her a couple of times with another bastard. That fucking bard, William.
What do you know about this priest?
Not much. Seems they knew each other from before. And he had some job for her somewhere. Serving as a maid or something. But she weren't stupid. She told him to fuck right off.
And did he go?
Aye, indeed. He didn't look like the kind of fella that would knock some sense into a woman. I think he just told her if she changed her mind to come and see him. Or some shit like that.
And could she have changed her mind and gone to him? And that's why nobody's seen her?
No, no. She took off. I'm sure about that.
And could she have run away with this bard, William?
With that lily-livered fop? Well, he ain't been seen in town for some time, but I think someone was out to get him. He still don't come here no more. He plucks that loot of his in the miners' tavern. The wee shit.
What can you tell me about Zdena?
What do you want to hear? I try to keep her out of trouble, but there's just no helping some women.
So you were taking care of her?
Well, just in front of the others. Other than that, she did what she wanted. Always made her mind up and did things her own way.
So you weren't too fond of her?
Not really, no. But she did have a knack for making coin.
I've heard enough.
Surrender at once. You
I surrender! Enough!
You've been loitering around where you shouldn't have. Don't think you've been you'll pay a...
Wait a moment. I didn't steal any...
don't try to make...
Die!
Можете его уработать. Хотя это будет...
Show your stuff.
Хотя если я его уработаю... Собака на него на моей напала.
Greetings. What do you need?
Where did the skeleton come from?
Ah, another newcomer who hasn't heard of Hugo. I'm happy to tell you because it's a hilarious tale. Have you got the time?
I sure do. Tell me.
Well, then listen carefully. 10 years ago, back when the tavern belonged to another fella, miners used to gather here and play dice for money. Miners are not very rich, and they often lost what little they had to live on. But their wives were understandably pissed off, so they came up with a plan. They clubbed together to buy a skeleton of a hanged man from the executioner, and they hid it in the cupboard where the miners kept their dice, thinking they would take it as a sign from God. But when the drunken men opened the cupboard and saw the skeleton, they were amused. They sat it down next to them, gave her a drink, and even threw the dice when it was the skeleton's turn.
The wife's plan didn't work out so well.
The miners don't come here anymore, but Hugo, as he came to be called, stayed. The miners don't come here anymore, but Hugo, as he came to be called, stayed. I'm telling you, he'll be still sitting here long after our bones are in the ground. Good story, right?
Sure. It was all right. Did Estanya work here?
Stanya. Maybe. It depends on who's asking.
My name's Henry.
Names don't interest me. The main thing is whether it's a good guest or a bad guest asking. What kind of guest are you, Henry?
What does it matter? I want you to tell me something, so you should tell me.
Kindly leave it up to me what I should or shouldn't tell you. So, I'll ask you again. Are you a good guest or a bad guest?
A bad guest.
So that means you're just going to badger me without even buying a drink. I don't tell nothing to fellas like that.
I'll have a beer.
You really don't know what this is all about, do you? I'm looking for a dangerous murderer. Person might almost think you're making my job harder. I wonder why.
Me? Making your job harder? That just ain't true. I'll tell you everything, don't worry.
I want to know if Stanya works here.
She did. And she don't know more. What's it to you?
I heard she disappeared without a trace. So I'm trying to find out if anyone had anything to do with it.
It's possible. The chamber she was sleeping in here was totally ransacked. The door open. Everything emptied out. And Stanya was gone. All I found were bloody footprints.
Did anybody see what actually happened when Stanya disappeared?
No, it was at night. Nobody saw or heard anything. The tavern tends to be empty at that hour. And you won't meet many people on the street, neither.
What was Stanya like? What can you tell me about her?
A bold woman. One has to be here. Everyone's ballsy here unless you nib it in the bud right away. She was hanging around a bard for a while. I don't know how close they were, but she also had another suitor.
Someone from the city?
No, a charcoal burner. I heard he was from somewhere in the, Vrchlitz Valley. I think his name was Barton?
What do you know about that bard?
What about him? He's a minstrel, a skirt chaser. What more can I say? He called himself William. As far as I know, he plays in the miners' tavern in the evenings. But sometimes he shows up here, too.
You think he might have been the one who...
Now that you mention it, he cleared out of town for a while and only came back not long ago. It could be him, all right. I know he met with some odd people and talked about God knows what, like bloody spies. Besides, you know what minstrels are like. Lasses just flock to them. And like they say, opportunity makes the thief.
Or in this case, a murderer. Apart from those men, did anyone else know Stanya? I mean, more intimately.
Well, I got bad news for you. She had two close friends, but you won't get much out of either of them.
Why?
One was hit by a cart, even before Stanya disappeared. And she died. And the other one got married and moved away.
How did Stanya's room look?
The door was wide open. Most of her things were gone, but some remained. And there was blood all over the place.
Blood? Was there a lot?
Not so much, really. More like hand or footprints. But they were near everywhere. If someone done her in, they definitely didn't do it in that chamber.
Where can I find this Barton?
I already told you. In the Vrchlitz Valley.
Could you be a bit more precise?
I don't know that bloke at all. All I know is he's a charcoal burner. So if I was you, I'd look somewhere around the charcoal kilns.
That's all I need to know.
I'm
И чё, я ничего не понял. Ну, неудивительно. Так. Расспросить музыканта. А это что? Ладно, поехали. Надеюсь, меня какие-нибудь разбойники здесь остановят. Вот здесь остановись. Да, конечно. Поеду сейчас вот сюда, съезжу. Старое массивное дерево. Поедем до него, доедем тоже. Убежище дичкрадов.
Quick! Go!
Whoa, whoa.
Кто такие?
Clear off.
Ты кто?
Scram! Right now.
Может, поговорим? Командир дезертиров. А что у вас здесь, лагерь или что? Ладно, мужики. Странное дело, да?
Go! Quick! Go!
Я вообще туда еду, нет? Ну, почти. Старое массивное дерево, интересно. Странная соломенная шляпа.
Someone left a straw hat here.
Ничего не странного. Кабани агузок 84, прикинь. Что за фермер, бля? Да мне только ухо забрать. Ну и клыки. Мясо мне не нужно. И что, все? Только странная соломенная шляпа и больше ничего? Реально? Ну, мне она нахер не нужна. Ведерочка на голову. И поехали по кустам. Лагерь углежогов. Ну вот мне сюда надо.
Quick! Quick!
Давай квик, только аккуратней.
Ja! Ja!
О, сразу нашел, нихера себе.
I'm looking for someone named Stanya.
You're in a charcoal camp, fella. What would a woman be doing here?
But you know Stanya, don't you?
Aye. You could say that. Why?
I'm looking for the killer of a girl in town. And I heard that someone also tried to kill this Stanya.
That's true. She told me something like that. But that was a long time ago.
So you don't know what became of her?
I really don't know, mate. But even if I did know, how can I be sure you aren't that killer?
I wouldn't be foolishly asking around for her then, would I?
Why not? How else would you find her?
Without getting seen by any witnesses.
What do you mean? What witnesses?
I mean you. If I tried anything, you'd remember me.
Well, that didn't occur to me. That would really be stupid of you.
I really only want to talk to her.
Sorry, but after all that happened to Stanya, I like to be careful.
So Stanya is here?
Aye. She's hiding with us. Since that thing happened, she's afraid to even go outside. I don't know what to do with her anymore.
Can I speak to her?
If it'll help you. She's hiding in that cottage, but be nice to her. She's in a bad way. She used to be such a gutsy girl. Take care.
Сейчас умоюсь, а то я как свинья сраная.
Who are you? How did you find me? If you came here to finish what you started, I'm not afraid of you. I'll claw your eyes out.
Don't be afraid. Barton told me where to find you.
Barton sent you to me. What do you want from me?
Lumir thought you were dead. I was supposed to find out what happened to you.
Lumir? From the rat house. He sent you.
Exactly. Someone killed a girl in Kuttenberg. Lumir thought it might be connected with you, so maybe you could help us find out who did it.
How can I help you when I haven't been in Kuttenberg since... I don't even know when.
You disappeared from the hole in the wall without saying goodbye. Without a word. What happened?
Someone attacked me when I was coming home from the baths one night. I managed to get away, but I was so afraid, I decided to run away from Kuttenberg.
Did you see who it was?
Not at all. I didn't see anything until he jumped out of the shadows and grabbed me around the neck. And he was terribly strong. I nearly blacked out right away.
And how did you manage to break free?
I had an empty pitcher in my hand, and I hit him with it. He howled and let me go, and I ran away.
Here? To the charcoal burners?
No, first to my room in the hole. But I was so scared there. I took what I could and ran. Here, to Barton.
And your lover? What did he say?
At first he was horrified, because I had cut myself on a shard from the pitcher and was all bloody. He's been hiding me here since then.
What was it like working in the hole?
Well, I earned a few groschen, that I did. But I often had to grit my teeth.
How so?
Every single day I had to put up with their lewd remarks. Rich or poor, everyone wants to grope a girl. People, well, us girls have to watch out. We can't just put up with it. And sometimes we have to be tough, especially in a place like the hole. But you can't overdo it either. That's no good.
How so?
Because if you smile at them nicely, then sometimes they leave a groschen, or even two. You have to keep a balance. To look friendly, but unavailable.
You said that rich or poor, they all like to grope girls. Like who?
Truth be told, the hole isn't exactly a good place for a rich man, but young von Groll used to go there for a while.
Is that so? Did he talk to you?
He smiled at me a lot, so I smiled back. But beyond a few groschen, there was nothing more to it. Then this thieving wench started hanging around him and... Oh, it doesn't matter. But that servant of his didn't like it, tried to drive her away, and so the young lord stopped bringing him with him.
Von Grolla had a servant with him?
Aye, a pudgy fella, well-dressed, but had a mean face. He never said a word or smiled, or even said thank you.
You walked home from the baths at night?
What's so odd about that?
Well, at night, the baths are...
Ah, right. I went there after closing. I always brought the girls a pitcher of wine or ale and took a bath while they drank it.
Ah. So that's why you had the empty pitcher you hit him with?
Right. I went there regularly, every week.
The same way every time?
Aye, always the same way. The shortest one. I didn't want to stay out too long at night.
And who knew that you went by yourself to the baths?
Well, everyone from the tavern, I reckon. I didn't hide it.
Why didn't you go back to the hole?
Just to get murdered there? Are you mad? I'm never going back there. Not until they catch him.
How are you now?
I'm still awful scared. I can't fall asleep knowing that, and I can't even really leave the house.
Do you remember anything important about the attacker? What he looked like? What he was wearing?
I don't know anything. It was at night. He grabbed me from behind, and then I ran and never turned back.
And what about when you hit him? What did he do?
He let me go and cursed.
Aha. And what did he say?
He said Scheisse in German.
Опа.
Seems you're the only one to survive the killer's attack. I know it isn't easy for you to think about it, but try to remember something else about that moment, or when you were running away. Anything can help us, even if it seems insignificant.
I don't know. It's all like in a fog.
You were walking down the street. Did you notice anything before he attacked you?
No, nothing.
You didn't see anything or hear anything?
Actually, I knew the side street wasn't empty. I heard somebody talking, but when I looked, there was nobody there. So when somebody grabbed me, I completely froze.
Did you understand what they were talking about?
Not at all. But there were two voices. Two of them waiting for me there.
Угу.
It's difficult, I understand. But I need you to think hard one more time. Aside from those voices and the empty street, what else do you remember?
I didn't hear him at all. And then he grabbed me.
And nothing else? Did he grab your hair?
Well, no. He grabbed me by the throat right away and squeezed. Just for a moment. But I still had a big bruise round my neck for weeks. Barton said the man must have had a terribly strong grip. Like a miner or swordsman.
Couldn't it have been that innkeeper then? You yourself said he's a pig.
Aye, when he drinks, he turns into a total bastard. All lewd remarks and groping fingers. The lecher. Only when I got to my room, I could hear him snoring. It couldn't have been him.
Couldn't it have been Father Prokop?
Father Prokop? I don't know him.
No, he's pretty old. He preaches in the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul.
I don't know him. And if he's an old man, how strong could his grip really be?
I heard William liked pretending to be a spy. Do you know anything about that?
Aye, I thought it pretty silly. A stupid trick to make himself seem more interesting. Though, I reckon he's more likely to attract an ass-kicking than a woman.
I reckon that'll be all.
I'm sorry I'm not able to help you more.
You don't need to apologise.
Thank you. Could I ask you for a favour?
If it's in my power.
When you catch that bastard, would you please let me know? So I can finally stop being afraid.
I'll stop by if I can.
I'll be with you.
Чё, ну, заметка шайзе, да, на немецком? Дерьмо или что это там значит? Поеду на коне съезжу.
Go! Quick!
Навыки надо прокачивать. Верховой езды. Да, странные дела.
Go! Go!
Так, а где мой эликсирчик? Сейчас. Краснобай, вот. Сколько навыков больше получать, точнее опыта? Кашиха.
Quick! Quick!
Да, это такой квест, я скажу, интересный. Убийство расследовать. Единственное, только от меня зависит, поймаю я ли правильную цель или нет.
Quick! Just a bit further. Quick!
Кошка тоже геймплей смотрит. Она на коленках у меня сидит, греется. Рапштейн. Это мельница. Оденчик. Так. А как мне на улицу, мне как с другой стороны выйти?
God be with you, my friend. Good day. Lord be with you.
Are you Pint?
I am. Why?
I'm looking for his dinner.
I don't know any Stenner.
Sternad said something different.
You're a friend of Sternard's, are you?
Actually, I don't really know him that well. But he's the only one I know who knew Denner. And he sent me to you.
Well, if he told you that, I reckon it's all right. He's not much of a traitorous rat, I reckon.
I wouldn't entirely count on that. So you knew Denner? Can you tell me something about her?
I know Stenner all right, but she ain't been here in some time. Why are you looking for her? What do you want from her?
I'm looking for her... Back in the city, they think she's either dead or run off somewhere. And you're the last person to see her before she went missing.
What of her?
What can you tell me about Denner?
She always had it hard. She lost her parents and her home as a child. She had to learn to take care of herself.
And what about Sternad? How does he fit into this?
Sternard was her guardian angel, as she used to say. If she hadn't been thieving with him, she probably would have ended up a whore. But by sharing with him, she could do what she wanted.
Uh-huh. I'm surprised she stuck with him as long as she did.
That's because she had a hideout somewhere nearby. That's why she'd come to me with her loot, before they taxed her on the spot. And the last time she was here, she said one more haul like this, and she'll be able to go wherever she wanted, to Prague or Vienna.
I heard she wanted to sell you some valuables. Is that true?
Oh, aye. She had a good haul. No rubbish. Mostly jewellery, rings, one signet ring with a coat of arms and everything.
She left it all here. I paid her a pretty sum of coin. It was a good thing she had a basket with her, otherwise she couldn't have carried it all.
And what about that signet ring? Do you still have it?
She didn't sell me the ring. She wanted to keep it. Said it'd bring her luck someday.
Do you know what kind of luck she meant? Did you recognize the signet on the ring?
No, I didn't recognize that signet. But all the while, Dana was giggling to herself. I reckon she had her eye on another mark.
Where did she go next from here? You said she had a lot of coin on her.
That she did. She also had a feeling someone was following her. Someone on a horse.
Someone followed her on a horse from Kuttenberg. Did she say what he looked like?
She didn't. At first, she thought it was some wealthy lord out for a ride. But he held back. Never passed by her and...
And did you see him? Did he come all the way here?
No. But Stena thought he would show. She even left her scarf here and paid some girl to walk around with it to make it look like she was still here.
And then where'd she go?
She wanted to go the back way, through the woods, so nobody could follow her. Past the woods is a road and a ford across a stream. Next to it is a huge boulder. When it rains, the water can rise fast. The road goes on to Kuttenberg.
Well, if it leads back to the road and there was really someone following her, I reckon if they saw she was long in returning, they could have waited for her at the ford, no?
Fuck! That's quite possible. I made a point of looking, but I didn't see any riders that day. So I forgot about it.
Is Denna's scarf? Do you still have it?
Aye. I wanted to give it back to her the next time she came.
Will you give it to me? I'll try having my dog track her down.
All the same to me. Here you go. But it's been a long time. I don't know if it will help.
And could it have been Father Prokop following her?
What do I know? If he has a horse and fancy clothes. But why would he do it?
I heard he wanted to find her an honest job, but she wasn't interested.
I don't know. She didn't say nothing about that.
And could it have been William?
And who would that be?
He's this bard she was seeing.
I don't know about that. I don't remember her mentioning nobody by that name.
Well, I'll go and check out that ford. Maybe I'll find something there.
I hope you don't. Take care, sir.
Так, на этом завершим серию, начнем новую. Подписывайтесь на канал, ставьте лайки и до новых встреч. Пока-пока.